There's another way to use the passive voice, and it's with say or with the pronoun say. So, for example, we sell cars is the active voice. We are somebody who's doing the selling versus cars are sold here. So, I'm not saying who's selling the cars, I'm just saying that they are sold. And this is something that's really, really common to use in Spanish, and you do it every single day. So, for example, Spanish is spoken. You would say, and then to speak is hablar. So, se habla español. Um, you can also use this with plural things. So books are read in the library. So se, and then to read is leer, but it has to be plural. And I'll tell you why in a second. Se leen libros en la biblioteca. Libros is plural, which means leen is going to be plural. Español is singular, which means habla is going to be singular. So this is kind of like verbs like gustar, except you use it with se. And when you're using it with se, this is always going to be either singular or plural, depending on what your object is. And it's kind of like doing it backwards, just like in gustar. So Spanish is spoken, books are read. Something is pleasing, right? So it's doing it backwards, and it has to be either singular or plural depending on what your object is. So hopefully that makes sense. And then the other form of the passive voice with say is when you don't have an object. So like here we have an object, español is our object, and libros is our object, and so you know that it has to be singular or plural based on that. But you can also use it without an object. And this is what you do in English when you say like one usually does this, people usually do this, you do this, or they do this. When you're not really specifying an exact person, but you're saying like in general, people don't speak when they're at the movies, right? Or in general, you don't speak when you're at the movies. Not a you specific, but you general. And this is always going to be with say, and it's always going to be singular because there's no object, so there's nothing that would make it plural. So, like, they say that the concert will be tonight. They, like, we don't really know who they are. It's just a general idea of what is being said. And so it's going to be the say, and then to say is decir. And so it's going to be the singular version because there's nothing to make it plural. So, se dice que el concierto will be the future of ser tonight, esta noche. Se dice que el concierto será esta noche. So it is said that, or one says, or people say, they say, whoever, very general, says that the concert will be tonight. You learn when you close your mouth. So not you specific, but you in general. So it's going to be se, and then it's going to be the singular form of learn, which is aprender. So se aprende cuando you close your mouth. Not you specific, but you in general. So se, and then to close is cerrar. So se cierra, and then la boca. So we want to give a general statement about people. So one learns when one closes their mouth, or you learn when you close your mouth. Say plus a singular verb. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Okay, you can also use the passive voice with ser, normally in the preterite, and this is only when you're actually saying the person that did it. So normally you wouldn't use this because if you're saying the person that did it, you would just say that they did it, right? So here, like for example, the book was written by J.K. Rowling. Normally you would just say J.K. Rowling wrote the book. But in English, we always use passive voice because we're lazy. In Spanish, that's the case as well. Sometimes they just use passive voice just because. So normally this is in the past tense, although you can use it in any tense, future, conditional, whatever. But normally it's going to be in the preterite. So el libro, and then the preterite for ser, for libro would be singular, so it'd be fue, and then use the past participle of escribir. So that would be escrito because it's irregular. El libro is singular and masculine, so escrito is going to be singular and masculine. And then, for example, if I wanted to say the apples were eaten by Luna and Rio, las manzanas is plural, so fueron would be plural. And then the past participle of eaten has to be plural and feminine because manzanas is plural and feminine. So fueron comidas por Luna and Rio. So if you want to use passive voice with ser, it's almost always only because you have por and you're saying the person who did it. If you don't say the person who did it, then you're just going to use the say construction. But if you do say the person who did it with pour, then you're going to use the ser construction. Thank you.